So we live right now. Um, I was on a channel last night, and the conversation was started. Want to make sure my video is coming in right, so go ahead and do some checking. Actually, right now, but pretty much make sure my sound is right before I actually get started, because I'm using different headphones. Other headphones are charging, so just want to make sure the headphones are working pretty good. The headphones are working pretty good. All right, cool. Okay, so basically, I was on the channel last night. Omega Courtney, check her out. Her channel is actually pretty good. You know, she gives a lot of insight on things and different perspective, and I kind of like that channel over there, and a lot of other channels like Brother Bakars too, because you don't hear too much of the riffraff over there. You know, they're not focused on trying to have an echo chamber. They're not focused on trying to, you know, be ultimately right about everything. It's actually grown people having a dialogue. You know, we might don't agree on certain things, but we try to be respectful of each other and try to put our best foot forward. And so with dealing with that, as adults, you're gonna have different opinions that you feel strongly about. And one of the main topics I want to talk about um, is dealing with who comes first within the community. Will it be the men that have to so-called stand up more, or dealing with these women and them changing? You know, when it comes to the term of who comes first, the rooster, I mean the chicken or the egg, you got to look at it like that. You know, in order for this to actually work, we got to see who's coming in first. And so, will it be the women would have to change their ways in order for, just in general, the men to have to come to the table, or would it be the other way? Would it be the, I'm sorry, trying to actually put the screen up to invite people on. But, dealing with this, it's going to be an issue that, but everybody's pretty much looking at, to the point where we're trying to figure things out. Because as a community, with us getting ourselves together, we always hear these points of men being held accountable for, being deadbeat dads, running out on their kids. But then we also hear about the women's standpoint, to where they saying that, you know, the men are, I mean, from the men's standpoint, that they're being deadbeat dads, and from a women's standpoint of, they're running these guys off. We have those points. We have points dealing with people in general, to where the women say that there are no good men out there, and it's vice versa. The men are saying there's no more wives out there. So we have to come to a solution of, who's going to change first, or who's gonna be the one that steps out on the edge. Who's jumping off the bridge first? Because ultimately, we can sit here and point fingers all day. I didn't say that. He said that. You did this. I didn't do this. It's like cat and mouse. Kids, they fight over who wants the last cookie, stuff like that. Who's gonna you know kind of give in and try to make things right. And I like to say peace to everyone in the chat, and dealing with different relationships, you know, in a relationship, who's going to be the submissive one? Ultimately, the men always look at themselves as being the greater power within the relationship. But what if a man comes in and doesn't do certain things in which this woman deems as being a man? So how would she proceed? And vice versa. What are certain things that if a man comes into a relationship and a woman doesn't do things deemed to be a woman in a relationship? So how are we going to deal with it? You know, are we going to accept women that are not cooking, that are not cleaning? And I've heard this young lady say this last night that gender roles of men always depending on the women cooking. When she was making that statement, she said that she cooks and her man cooks. But majority of the men that have these conversations with these women, they never say that they're not going to cook. They just want a woman that cooks. Preferably, most guys like women cooking. They have that old saying, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. In most cases, a lot of people will sit here and want a traditional type of lifestyle the way it was back in the day where the man took care of the household, the man ran the household. But then when you ask most of the women, are you conforming to those ways of, cleaning and, doing everything for the kids and while you're staying home? Most of them say yes. Most of them, they don't know what that life is like because ultimately they're in a state of mind where they're used to working and having something to do. And for them just to be sitting at home, that brought out about a lot of hobbies for those women back in the day that know how to sew real well, became seamstress in the community, or when the kids got older, they started taking on roles as doing, custodial work around people's house, like pretty much maids. And because they were homemakers, they knew how to take care of other people's house because that's what they did for so many years, taking care of their younger kids. But going in school, there was times where they didn't have anything to do. And the whole point of being occupied with your time while majority somebody's in there, actually providing for the family. you know Different structures, different strokes for different folks. Everybody has their opinion about how the family should be ran. The men have an opinion, the women have an opinion, because ultimately, when you start bringing facts, that might be good for your house, because if you look at it from an individual standpoint, everybody have their opinion on how things should be ran as facts. You know, most men deem that women should be the only one cooking in the house. But then when you ask a man, well, are you prepared to do certain things for that woman to be she the only one being cooking in the house? I don't want to hear no excuses saying that, well, if she cooked, that's her job. Then the man, what is your job? Because if she cooks, she cleans, and you put her in a position not to, actually work. So your job is to go to work and pay the bills, right? And I understand with you being the protector of the house, you know, that's the role you set down. Now, when it comes to these women that are not working, what are your roles in taking care of the family? Are you going to be the one that when that child needs some help with the homework, and you can't do it, are you going to be the one that looks it up, try to get in contact with teachers dealing with tutoring and stuff? Or are you going to be the ones that says wait till your dad get home and ask him? If this guy had a long day of work, um he might be pretty tired. Even with most guys who come home and not having to deal with their kids, because it's a luxury to me of coming home and playing with my kids. If I'm tired, they know certain days I'm not gonna do a lot of things with them, but I'll still get out there and do it. Because kids ultimately they have this mindset of having fun. You know, And that's why I kind of look in a lot of relationships that, you kind of go into a relationship having fun, but you got to have grounds to the relationship. You got to understand that if you're having a relationship with a woman, it's more like the lines of always people yelling out soulmates. This is a person that pretty much you deem to marry and to be in a relationship pretty much um, what I would think for the rest of your life. So, what are the things that she would have to change if she's not to your critique to be a perfect wife? You know, if she smokes or if she can clean like the best but cannot cook, are you willing to take on that woman that doesn't know how to cook but cleans real good in order to be a wife? You know, are you willing to take on that man that doesn't have a job, but ultimately he has a vision and you kind of see potential in him? Because we got to understand a lot of people are entering bad relationships from the jump and want to complain down the line when the relationship doesn't work, you know. So this is the problem where the chicken and the rooster, like which will need to become first in order for things to work out. And once again, like I said, peace to everyone in the chat. But when it comes down to it, are do men have to change their ways of, fixing around the house, I guess working more to a woman's standard to actually being the so-called man that they're looking for? Or the men looking for the women that, pretty much should be cooking more, cleaning? Ultimately we all have these certain standards upon these women. But when it comes to the relationship, who's actually raising the hand to kind of submit more to the relationship working? Whether it be a woman that, like I said, deals with a man that doesn't work and accept him. Because ultimately, if the relationship doesn't work, you have to understand, you have to come to that agreement. You knew that this man wasn't working before you got into a relationship with him. So further on down the line, if this man do not work, and you so-called wasted your time, is it that man's fault that you was in a relationship and it didn't work? And for the men, is it that man's fault that you know that the lady was so pretty or looked so good to the point that you kind of stepped over that you've always went out to eat with her? She didn't want to cook. And then upon y'all actually starting to live together, it was always, these takeout dinners that, she never kind of really turned on the stove or, didn't even know the difference between Clorox and, different disinfectants that kill bacteria, you know. And I heard last night as well on Omega Courtney's channel where a lady was explaining that her mom never really taught her how to cook. And to Roger's standpoint, I heard him say that, everyone cooked around him to the point where, you kind of look at people cooking, when it comes in with skills, that's, more or less the timing on how to flip things. It's more like trial and error, to an extent. I was taught how to cook. I was taught, flipping a pancake, learning how to make pancakes from scratch. I still do that now with just, the simple flour, getting milk or water. I actually put lemon juice in my pancakes because it makes it more kind of moist and, the flavor. And sometimes I would use vanilla extract for the flavor as well in the pancakes. So ultimately with the egg, of course, and certain little other things I learned how to cook. Those were basic things. Even the sense of boiling an egg, how long it took to boil an egg, how long it actually takes to cook hot dogs. For the most part, everybody knows that cooking a hot dog is just boiling water. But looking how people leave hot dogs in the pot, over time that hot dog absorbs the water. Knowing that when you do that with vegetables as well, cooking canned vegetables, just opening the can. pour them in there. Whether it be if you want to put season or not is your discretion, but I would advise you to put season in the water and everything with your vegetables. A lot of people don't know how to do that. A lot of people just would take vegetables straight out of the can, pour it into the pot and cook it. Upon most people, I tell people to rinse the vegetables off. Like I said, your discretion, even when putting them in the water. If you want butter, put butter in there. If you want oil, some people put oil in there. Pretty much is ultimately how you do things. But when it comes down to it, a lot of people don't know the basics. A lot of people seen certain little things done. Nobody didn't tell me how to actually, you know, pick up a screw and screw a screw in. I seen it. So when someone give me a screwdriver and say, "Hey, screw that in," they didn't have to teach me to place it into the grooves and start turning. Ultimately, as kids, you might say, "Well, you're turning it the wrong way," or you don't know the difference between a flathead and a Phillip head, that type of thing, or a pair of pliers. But when it come down to it, if I knew to screw out or screw in a certain way, was it tighty righty, lefty loosey, to the point where I know if I'm screwing something in to turn it to the right to actually make it go in. No one ever told me take this screwdriver. You see those spots? It's a Phillip head. You put it in there and you twist, you twist, you twist. No, stick it in that twist. No, no, you're doing it wrong. You don't have it all the way. No one ever taught me that. I was just gave a screwdriver. Go ahead and screw that in. Or if I seen something as a kid, I did it myself, because I've seen people do it. My brother showed me actually how to change a tire on my bike. I'm showing my younger kids how to change tires on the bike. So when it comes down to certain standards, some things are taught, but some things are just visual learned. You know, no one has to teach you, I mean, the proper way how to crack an egg, but no one can actually just barely, cracking an egg is easy. Cracking it open, you might get a few shells in there, but ultimately you'll learn eventually how to crack an egg the proper way. No one, if someone actually instructing you how to crack an egg, that's fine and dandy. But when you're down and out, you never cooked before, you just knowing the basis of cracking an egg and scrambling and making scrambled eggs, or doing something fancy and everything, to the point where you're going to actually make an omelet. Those things are kind of being taught more and more. But like I said, I want to kind of have a discussion on this topic. Who needs to change first within our community? Because ultimately, like, I look at the Roger show, the Roger Report, and he kind of touched on these topics a lot. Dealing with the community. We have the men in here that are saying that the women that with their behavior, the way you dress a certain way, the way they look with their hair and all that is good and dandy. But when it boils down to it, what are we trying to get from these women? You know, Ultimately, if they submit to everything that we want, then what? Same thing applies to the women. Women always complaining about men not building, but we pretty much built the country 10 times over. I guess with the newer generation, they're talking to them about not building. But you have young guys that are stepping in positions in the politics. You have younger guys that are stepping in position of owning their own business. So when it come down to it, there's a lot of men that are building and doing things. But when it comes down, is that the man that you're looking for? Is that the man you're trying to get? Because ultimately, you can say a man doesn't build all day. You can say a man doesn't know how to use a screwdriver all day. But why are you dealing with the men that don't know how to use a screwdriver? Why are you dealing with the men that don't build? That speaks to the women and the men. If a man wants a woman that cooks and cleans and to provide for the kids, you want to get married. Why are you dealing with women that don't want that out of life? We can go to the fact that I was tricked. The women can say, well, he was one way and he approached me, but then farther down the line, he became a different person. You chose to stay with that different person. Ultimately, it's your decision amongst all the things that you do. If you have a relationship with people that don't want to bring anything to the table, Ultimately, you're making a decision to sacrifice whatever this person is doing in order to stay with them. And it gets to the point where it gets kind of weird. If you have a man that doesn't cook or doesn't clean or anything that a woman wants, are you willing to say, I'm not going to deal with this man that doesn't want to cook and clean? Do with that situation when it comes about. Same thing approaching to the men. Are you going to deal with a woman that kind of wants to be the breadwinner of the house, and you want to be that the man that kind of sits back and let the woman bring home the money and ultimately, make decisions for the house? Because a lot of guys in this space don't like women that make more money than them, due to the fact if these women are making more money, they're trying to assume the role of the leader of the household. Now, are you willing to deal with a woman that makes more money than you and wants to assume that role? And if you say no, but you're still in a relationship with that woman for years upon years, how can you be mad at that woman? That's what I don't understand. You've accepted the role of her being the breadwinner. You accepted her making certain decisions within the house. So why would you be mad at this woman? Same thing applying to the women. You have a guy that probably doesn't work. I mean, I'm sorry, you have a woman that doesn't work. She doesn't know how to cook and clean, but she is beautiful. She looks good in a bikini, or what I'm saying. She might can't cook, but she can eat like the best. She knows how to spend your money. She can go shopping. But ultimately, you're marrying her for what reason? Because you want a wife that cooks, you want a wife that cleans. And when you marry, take that woman hand in marriage, and years go by, and you complain to the point where I've been with you for 5 years and I thought you would know how to cook by now. You entered the relationship with her not knowing how to cook. You accepted that on account of her beauty because she was so fine. Now, when it comes to that, who's at fault? Is it that woman's fault that within 5 years she never learned how to cook? Is it that woman's fault that you wasted 5 years of your time to the point where you can't get those 5 years back when you could have kind of been building a relationship with someone else, and ultimately, let's say you had a baby by this woman. You've had a baby by a woman that couldn't even make a bottle for your child. You've always had to come home make bottles for the kids. Whose fault is that? That's what I want to get to the understanding, because we are the ones that are accepting these type of relationships within our community, and pretty much for each other. So who needs to change first? That's the biggest question. Are men willing to sacrifice certain things and say, well, I'm only going to deal with women that want to be this type of woman? Because BGS ultimately talks about how the women in this era, that's growing up, are not being taught how to be pretty much a wife. And the same applies for the men. There are a lot of men that fathers are actually working and doing certain things, but not teaching these young men how to, be handy. Ultimately, the next generation is kind of, has this imbalance. And we can blame it on the crack era. We can blame it on certain things that happened to us back in the day. But what are we doing now? Because as it stands, the crack era has passed, even though it's not to mention that people are not still smoking crack. But the point of it is, a lot of people right now are going through things, and it's more like I'm looking on these YouTube streets and kind of seeing the frustration, and a lot of people trying to get certain points across, or kind of, having an issue with, the way society is being, where they raise these kids a certain way, and the actual kids don't come out to the point where, if I have a son and I want my son to get married, and I give him the key, things to his life for him to be a husband, to actually learn how to change a tire, hang up a picture, ultimately, do certain things around the house, actually let him understand it's not a bad thing for a man to work two jobs if he want to, kind of work hard to provide for his family. Those are the key things that he should be doing when he gets a family. But then he goes out, every woman that he meet, she doesn't know how to cook. Either her mom always cooked, she was kind of, the princess type, to where she was spoiled, she got everything she want. Let's speak to that for a moment. Who who would benefit in the relationship more? Would it be the woman that doesn't know how to do anything but just look real nice? Or would it be my son that actually know how to somewhat cook and clean, also be handy around the house? Should he sacrifice pretty much himself in order to get the woman that he wants? Sacrifice and say, yes, I'm gonna deem this woman my wife. And welcome, underrated.
Good morning to you. Welcome.
Morning.
Good morning to you.
All right. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay.
You want to go ahead and say something?
Well, I can say that I'm glad that you bring these matters up because it's very important. And also too, we have to understand this too. Now, how about if you have a wife or your husband that they got hurt, not for theirs, and they become a disability? Are you still going to be with them? Because at the same time, at those times, things do change. And are you gonna talk to that person? Y'all talk things out to make him and her comfortable of their disability because that's a tribulation time you go through, especially if you have a family. You're gonna be there for the tough times to weather out because that's the time that he or she is depressed. They probably look around and I can't do certain things I cannot help my family I used to do. Are you still going to let that person, let that he or she know they still have value within themselves and even towards the family? So
Yeah.
we got to think of stuff like that and see that's what and I think that's conversation needs that go along with you saying that's got to happen because things do happen.
Yep. And actually dealing with that topic, that kind of weaves into, like I said, what are people doing willing are going to change about certain things to kind of build a relationship. Ultimately, when a person gets on disability, through some type of illness, or whether it be an injury, you have to understand the person that you're dealing with, you know, they're going to be going through the same thing you're going to be going through, because not only will you be hurt and, kind of out from the family, that person has to, deal with that as well, because, ultimately, sometimes they're going to have to take care of you. Those are going to be the people that kind of put themselves in situations to where they have to put themselves in a position of loving for a person that's disabled, or kind of taking the traits of actually being more, excuse me, dealing with more in the household, to where, not only are they have to step up and do more work around the house, they got to be willing to do that and actually love and comfort without, kind of any remorse towards you. Because ultimately, in most cases, when people go through illness, they don't ask for it. When people get injured on a job and have to take on the role of disability, they don't they accept it, but they never go out there looking for the injury. So, you kind of have to have that person that you're in relationship with that you can trust and deal with. Ultimately, that is understanding. And hello, Blue Blazer, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
All
Um,
right.
if I can ask real quick, because I kind of got cut off in the middle of hopping onto the live, if you could reiterate what your question about the marriages was.
Well, basically, I'm just coming to trying to get an understanding. When the title, what needs to change. I mean, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? It's pretty much dealing with the relationship between men and women. Ultimately, who has to change in order for the relationship to work between, within our community? Do the women
Mm,
have to change, or do the men have to change first? Because you hear a lot of women that saying men are not building, men are not doing this, they don't know how to work with tools. And then you have a lot of men saying that, women don't know how to cook, women don't know how to clean, in the lines of being submissive or just in general being understanding. So who has to change first in order to the community that actually jumpstart?
well, personally, man, this is an argument that can go quite a few different ways. So this may be a little long-winded, but I think the issues with women have to be more dealt with by the women, and the issues with men absolutely must be dealt with by men. And the difficulty with men is at the end of the day, there has to be conflict. So even amongst their own, you have to be willing to have conflict. And then to the victor go the spoils. So the man needs to correct first because we obviously go out there and conquer. That's our purpose, is to go conquer and build, right? So when I look at, for example, the Black community, we also need to start thinking a lot on a lot larger scale than we do. So, prime example is Black people will generally say Black women and children are not protected by Black men. And that's a multi part answer. 100% are they protected by Black men in the
Oh,
terms that,
I'm sorry, hold on, Blue Blazer. Sheila, you're welcome to come. Women and men are welcome on the panel because this is a discussion from both sides. I would like to hear you if you want to come up. I'll go ahead and accept you. I'll share the link again, or is up there. You can actually hit the link and come on. But go ahead, Blue Blazer.
so 100% women are protected by men in the physical aspect. Um, as far as families and things of that nature here in America. However, 100% are they unprotected in the fact that we do not control an industry in this country. So and this people are going to say, ironically enough, I think 2 days ago on a female content creator that's definitely disliked, um, who has, ironically enough, similar letters to my company, CG Wealth Solutions, uh, said the exact same thing. And there's another person with another color that happens to be in the background of my picture, and she feels the same way. Now, what I have seen was that a lot of men 100% dislike and fight against her for that. What I felt was I agree because I feel that there are not enough Black men who are out there competing. And I see it personally. When I've done things like going out there and got shot 5 times, and then these broke, fake ass Negroes who think they hustlers and think they gangster want to go and tell me dumb shit like, oh, nigga, I'm a trap nigga. Nigga, I trap too. I make 100% commission. So if I don't sell that fucking dope, I don't make no bread. So the 40 G's I made last year was all off of my blood, sweat, and tears. So When they disrespect and I say, hey, why don't you get off the block and do something like this? It's boring. It's the frumpy chick. All right, I'll go get my real estate license, aka the sexy chick. Come back to y'all niggas. Hey, I got my real estate license. Come be with my mans who got a brokerage. We was in East New York on New Line Ave. If anybody know Brooklyn,
I do.
880 New Line Ave. That was my office. I used to walk to the pink houses. I had a little shorty in the pink houses. All right. And these niggas tell me this bullshit. You know what? Real estate, huh? The niggas I used to buy bud from at Risley Dent Projects in Brooklyn. I came to these niggas like, yo, son, I'm buying $100 a bud worth of bud from you a fucking week. Why don't you get a retirement plan? $100 a month, nigga. That's $1,200 a year, nigga. You spend more than that on bottles in the club. Oh, that sounds like something for nigga who got a job. How many of them niggas got clapped recently though? And ain't got shit to lead at their family. So how the fuck we building, but we got fucking bullshit cash phones to our ear. Nigga, that's $100 bill. Y'all niggas don't get the fuck out my face with that bullshit. I done been to jail. Y'all niggas gang banging, you know what Gangster Disciples is about, nigga? Larry Hoover would rather walk down the street with a fucking suit and tie than a fucking strap, you bitch ass niggas. So let's build. Stop crying about these women. I know this shit hurts, nigga. I apologize. Someone else can have the floor.
Oh no, you're good. Sheila, you actually just came up, so you're next to actually state opening statements to the panel.
Good morning, she underrated, brother Blue King. Thank you for allowing me to be on the panel, and good morning to everybody in the chat. I just want to say, as a woman, it is our job to serve our man and have our man best interest, and be his pillow, be his comfort, and be there for him at need. I always say this, and I know y'all get tired of me saying over and over again. The battles y'all have to face when y'all go outside the house, just being a black male. And y'all really need a woman by your side to understand the battles y'all had to fight, which y'all up against. Yes, that's our job, to take care of the household. Make sure it's clean. Make sure your meals is done. Make sure your clothes is clean. Make sure that we could be there in time of your need when you need someone to talk to, and be your friend. Because majority of the time, some of y'all have friends, but they're not really your friends, you know? And that's what it's all about. When you have a mate, a son, somebody you want to spend the rest of your life with, just make sure y'all have a good communication skills and just have each other back. Because at the end of the day, it's between you and your spouse and your family against the world. And that's what I bring to the table.
Okay. Kane, what's going on, brother? I think Kane still he might be doing something, but pretty much you're right.
Mhm.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on, She?
What's
Underrated,
going on?
Blue Blazer,
Peace,
Sheila.
peace,
Peace to
peace,
y'all.
brother.
Family.
Yeah, I had to step away from the phone real quick. But what was the question?
Pretty much we're having an open discussion, just trying to figure out who needs to actually draw the line in the sand first. You know, whether it be the women need to change to kind of, build a community, or do the men need to change? You know, you have a lot of women that are saying that, men are not builders, men are not handy, men are not actually taking care of their kids and kind of pulling resources to make the family work. And then you have the men that are saying women are not coming to the table, kind of respecting the men, or kind of, just not cooking and cleaning to a certain extent, with the basics.
Um, okay, well, when it comes to that for the women, the cooking and cleaning thing, that is an issue. But we live in a time where it's much easier for women to do that. So you have to look at something else. You have to put something else on the table. Because cooking and cleaning in this day and age, especially like with my family, I come from a family, a Caribbean family, where a lot of times the men cook better than the women. So, especially me coming up, the women always made sure that everybody knew how to cook, man and female. So when it came to that, that was never like a major issue. I'd cook one day, you cook one day. But with who has to come to the table first? The men have to come to the table. The men have to stand up and get and understand knowledge of self of who they are and stand up on their square. You can't push it off on the women. Yes, the women are acting out of pocket right now. And I believe, like what you were saying earlier when you were speaking on the crack era, yeah, they brought the crack era in, and that destroyed a lot of the men. It destroyed a lot of focus on the focus that the men had. And then the women, it allowed the women to just get out of order. So now the women are just out of order with the way they act, with the things that they do. Society allows them to do. So that's an issue that's just bigger than what a man could control or bring to the table. Because society allows women to get away with a lot of shit. But as a man, you got to stand on your square. Are you gonna deal with that shit? If you don't want to deal with it, don't deal with it. Find something that works for you. You supposed to, if you know yourself, you could push that off on your lady or the woman that you choose. You as a man always come first. It's always on you. You tolerate what goes on in your life. So if the woman is dysfunctional, that's on you as a man if you pick that dysfunction to deal with. So it has to be the man that comes to the table first and understand who he is.
Mm-hmm. Well,
That's how I'm gonna start that off. But we could continue the conversation.
Underrated, you want to touch on
Definitely,
that?
I agree. Oh, sorry.
And I just want to see if underrated want to touch on that as well.
I'm gonna go a little different. I think the problem is, and this is another concept these brothers would fail to understand it, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway. You don't like it, you don't like it. The brothers like me that live by yourselves, work on yourselves. You know what I mean? Certain brothers go through certain things, keep in contact with them. Shoot an email, get a damn number. Look out for them. They go through certain things. You hear what I'm saying? I'm sick and tired of brothers always talking about they look, yo, we ain't for the brotherhood, but you ain't there. They probably go through certain things. You know what I'm saying? Talk to them. You know what I'm saying? Maybe their priorities is not there. You know, at that moment. You know, talk to them. You know, hey, you need to do certain things. You know, because not every man, not every brother is handy. You know, they handy in other things. So, but that so that means if they certain things they not handy, they not a man. Give me a break with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to hear that no more. So the same thing about this though too, that yo, brothers, man, just get ourselves together, man. Be there as brothers, man. Then when you be there as brothers, man. You used to work on yourself, man. The woman will come, and then if the woman's not there, if they don't fit your vision, what it is. That's how it is, man.
I
But
definitely
I
agree with
thank you.
you. I definitely agree with you.
I
I
like
definitely
that.
agree with you, underrated. I
That's it
definitely agree
because
with you, man.
yeah, because they see that's the key because the women gonna come see that woman, that good woman. She gonna be there regardless, man. That's for me, man. Work on yourself. That's what I do, man. You go to my channel, see what I do, see my work, man. I'm saying us brothers, man, we gotta rely on each other, man. Work on yourself, rely on each other, man, and let's work together, man. Talk about these problems, man. Because if you go to another woman and talk about man's problems, man, come on, man. They ain't doing nothing. That's all I'm saying, man. Not fall back.
Nah, you're absolutely right, underrated, man. Like I always tell brothers, man, knowledge of self comes first, man. That's so important. Having knowledge of self and knowing yourself and training yourself. Learning
Mm.
about certain shit. 'Cause I study everything. When it comes to being handy, I fix everything in my damn house. I ain't never go to no school to learn how to build shit. I could build a house from scratch. Watching videos, going out there doing the knowledge, gaining information. I'm handy with all type of shit. I could fix cars. I could do all type of shit. I ain't never go to school for none of this shit. The information is there. Go out there, get knowledge of self. The woman is necessary but secondary. That's another thing I stress telling brothers. A woman is necessary but secondary. Yeah, a lot of them, like I said, a lot of them ain't acting right. It's just that's just where we at right now. A lot of brothers say how they want women to do certain things. That was back then. Back then they didn't have all the shit that we have going on right now. This is a whole new era we dealing with. So now you have to come up with a new way of how to deal with a relationship. That's just the way it is. We can't turn the clock back. The clock don't go backwards. It always goes forward. You got to take steps forward.
Right.
If that's not what you want to deal with, do not complain about it. Find what can work for you and deal with that.
Yeah.
So
She, can
in
I
terms
say
of that,
something?
yeah, hold on real quick.
Okay.
So in terms of that, what I wanted to add on was in terms of not building, like I said, we have to control something. So the reason I say we have to control something is because Black men, you underrated, you just said something that's real important and follows off of before I went off on my diatribe. The not only is the Black woman not protected, the Black man is not protected. We ain't protecting each other.
Yeah.
So, and there's the reason we're not protecting. I can't turn around and give you a job right now. You can't turn around and give me a job right now. I don't mean semantically, we're both self-employed, etc. But for the most part, we can't employ each other, right? For the most part, nobody on this panel can employ each other. For the most part, everyone here has an iPhone, Android, is on StreamYard, is on YouTube, is on the internet, is on T-Mobile, Verizon, Sprint, AT&T. We were talking about boycott Apple, boycott this for Black communities. We don't realize you do that. Well, it's Black people that work at Apple, and I ain't seen a Black man create the iPhone yet or the Black phone.
Well, they
It's
probably did some creations, but they ain't created for themselves. They created for the powers that be, and that's part of it. The powers that be. One thing that they did, they push, divide, and conquer in our neighborhoods. So this is why we deal with each other that type of way. Like they divided us to where we can't sit down and have a proper conversation with some brothers without them trying to attack you because you don't agree with what their talking point is, or we can't have a conversation. I bring it up idea and we put it together and we come up with something bigger. It's gonna be the divide, or you a sucker, you a bitch ass nigga,
Word.
you a simp, all type of silly shit. And that's part of what was instilled in us. The divide and
yeah,
conquer thing. That's how you conquer something. You divide it and conquer it.
that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, and
And that's
Sheila
just like
Sheila wanted
Brother
to get
instilled.
in
just
That's
real
said
quick.
instilled in our
something.
neighborhoods.
Sheila wanted to
He,
get in real quick.
yeah,
Yeah.
he just said something
Go
that
ahead, Sheila.
nobody on the panel employs somebody. Um, I do have two nonprofit organizations. And matter of fact, we're working on a $5 million project right now. And see, what I do is I sit at the table with my Congress and them, and I come up with a proposal and plan the interest for my Black brothers, for they could start their own contractors so they don't have to work for anybody else. That's what I do. I don't just say it, I live it. Now we
Yeah, and
came up with a team. We trying to come up with a Black bank in our community. So my thing is, see, I come here, but a lot of things I do, I don't bring it on my page because what I learned sitting at the table, see, one thing about Blacks, we run our mouth too much. A lot of run our mouth and no action. See, I never let my right hand know what my left hand doing. But as we talk and I'm speaking
speak
to you
about it.
now, we have plans going on now. Underrated went to a couple hour meetings. And like I said, I know the pushback they get for y'all. See, it was designed for y'all not to be in position. And they put us
Go ahead,
against y'all.
talk about it.
So I one of those sisters, they can't do that. So I'm sitting at the table with them, telling them that our men, our country was made off the blacks of our Black men. So how dare you sit up here and bring other people here and get benefits off our ancestors? So I'm one of those sisters who push them at the table to get y'all back in y'all rightful places. No, it's not hard. It's not. And I'm not going to say it. But one thing I do, I do sit up there and I speak. I don't sit in no meeting and let stuff go by that will block y'all and don't benefit y'all. See, that's what I do. I'm a warrior. I'm a fighter. I'm a speaker. I ran for city council, board education. This is what I do. I have all the numbers governed down to my governor on my phone. So as we speak, and they come up with a plan for my brothers to start. My nephew just started 2 barbershops in my community. He been cutting hair since he was 9. We just did his grand opening a couple of weeks ago. My niece make her own lotion, soap, and stuff. We going to start her own business. So some of us is trying to do the right things. You just have to be connected with people like-minded like you. That's all. Because it's not judging one another. Each one teach one. Let's help. Let's start helping each other. Let's stop putting one another down. Because the end of the day is the male is the leader. And see, that's when I sit at the table, I'm tired talking. I'm tired talking all the time. That's why I sit at the table. I bring some of my educated brothers, my uncles, the different ones I went to school with, lawyers and stuff. And let me tell you something. When I found out when no Caucasians sit at the table with y'all and y'all talk, they crack under pressure. And that's why I said we need to start putting ourselves in positions, start running for city council, board education, and everything, and know your environment. And that's what Blacks have not been doing. We've been complaining, and doing nothing. So now I know the game, and that's what I do. I beat them at their own game. I'm not playing checkers. I'm playing chess. I'll be on mute.
Go ahead,
I
Ken.
agree with you. I agree with you. Like, yo, who's raising politicians in the Black community? That's the thing. Brothers, a lot of brothers and sisters, they know a whole lot about politics, but they're not teaching, they're not raising their kids to be a politician. We need some politicians in order to make some real change. We need our people to be in offices where they can make changes.
Well, then we
The
have
way
to
it's set
vote
up
them
right now is
in.
not set up for us to win. Yeah, that's the other thing. You have to support them. We support rappers. We support
Yeah,
actors. We go watch their
yeah.
movies. We buy their music. But like I said, who's raising politicians and actually going and voting them in and getting them in there?
We
You don't
do.
see that
I'm
happening
good
in
when it comes to
abundance.
campaigning, registering them and everything. And that's what you could do now is go look online. All the Zoom meetings, your city council, your town meetings, your work session, everything is on Zoom. Anything you want to know, your budget about your county, your town, your city, everything is online. So there's no reason for nobody not to know what's going on in your area. You
You know
should know
what's
what
funny?
they
I
vote
put something.
for and what they not vote for. What's their platform for and what they voted and what they voted against. Get to know your ward, where you live at, and who represents your ward, everything.
Definitely. And even like furthermore, when y'all are doing, and this is for like like Kane, you said, in terms of who's raising the children. I was born in the 80s, right? So when I got raised, I didn't learn how to write a check or sign a lease or, put in an offer on a house or, even how to apply for, a job. But I knew how to play spades because I sat up under, grandma and them playing spades.
Facts.
But when I go into families' houses, like I said, I'm a licensed realtor in New York City, and I'm a licensed insurance professional in 5 states, both life, health, and accidental, as well as property and casualty. So when I go into a family's household, especially a Black family, and it's either a one-legged appointment where I just sit with either the husband or the wife. Usually it's the wife. And the children aren't there. And then they ask me questions like, what does this have to do with life insurance? And I'm like, I'm helping to identify and protect your lifestyle. Or the fact that I think yesterday, when again we talk about drug dealers, I did a half-hour live reading an article from the New York Times about how the Colombian cocaine cartel, the Cali Colombian cocaine cartel, hid $80 million of drug money in life insurance policies. When the last time, the last trap we heard about in the hood was $8 million in Atlanta, and that was 12 Negroes, Rallo. But see, we don't know, like Kane said about ourselves. You know, we hear people talk about the earths and the gods and things like that, but we don't always get the full breakdown. Then, we have other people who, some people call Power Rangers, who yell out of certain texts. Now, I'm not a religious person, so I don't want to disrespect anyone. But, I don't fall into those beliefs. But all I see in those areas is defeatism, except for when we talk about our true power being, ultimate black man.
And that's the thing. That's one of the reasons they push that on us, because it makes you, instead of getting out there and going and doing something, you sit back and act like you're waiting for somebody to come do something for you. And that's one of the biggest problems black people have. They sit back and they wait for somebody else to do something instead of getting up and doing the knowledge, getting the information, and doing it your damn self. That's one of the major problems we have in the community.
Yeah, because that speaks a lot. When just like you was talking about with the actually writing checks and things of that nature. I was in elementary school, and compared to different sides, I stayed on the west side of Atlanta, and I stayed on the east side of Atlanta. West side of Atlanta, the education to me was a little bit more stronger. I kind of started doing things at a certain level. I was into writing checks, dealing with computer classes where I was taking courses on how to type properly, how to balance a checkbook. But ultimately, when I got to the other side of town, we wasn't taught that. And even I was taught all this stuff in elementary. How to balance a checkbook, how to write a check, how to send a letter. A lot of these kids growing up not even knowing how to write cursive, more or less, but not even knowing doing how something simple as writing a letter. Writing a letter pretty much entails going into the whole thing of writing resumes, cover letters. A lot of kids are not learning this stuff. You know, Even with my older son, when he was actually in school, I was shocked that when it was time for him to get a job, he knew how to, fill out a I mean, he knew how to fill out an application, but as far as writing a resume, he didn't know what to put. Even with me as a young guy, when I got my first job, I actually put on my resume, got a job at Six Flags. I put on there that, I actually did summer jobs, because, at that time I was 15 years old. So I put on my resume that I actually volunteered at certain places. I had learned responsibility by watching my brothers and stuff like that, even though my brothers are around the same age. But the people who was reading the resume, I was kind of giving them the impression that I was trustworthy by babysitting. I was giving them the impression that, technically I was resourceful, and the things that I kind of did with volunteering and helping people out, doing tutoring and stuff like that, showed that I had a general heart for doing certain things. So I was more trustworthy in actually getting a job, to where the guy was like, "You don't even have a job yet, but you listing so many things on your resume as if you've been doing this all your life." And I told the guy, I didn't tell the guy I needed a job. I told the guy I'm willing to work. And a lot of guys didn't come up with that type of, mentality. I had good teachers that taught me, certain ways of doing things, how to talk more proper when I'm around, certain people, like the code switcher. When I hit him, hey man, what I'm saying, and talk like different little code switching when I'm dealing with people. A lot of kids don't know how to do that. I've heard guys go into the office and try to get a job And yeah, hey, shouty, y'all hiring in this piece, you know, and the first thing the manager always say, yes, we're hiring. Go fill out an application online or something like that. Or even if they had the application in there, they wasn't giving it to that guy because the way he approached the situation. But then you have a guy come in, excuse me, I just want to know you guys hiring here for this location. They say, well, yes, go ahead. Here's your resume. Or better yet, once again, fill it out online and we'll make the discussion. You know, we'll set up an appointment for you to come in for your interview. It approaches everything with a lot of things. And a lot of people are not taught things, you know, and staying within our community, a lot of this is lost. But the whole thing, you know, as far as like I say with YouTube, I come here for the knowledge. I actually try to learn different things to, you know, give on to others, kind of show them. There's certain things like I've helped a guy with a situation with child support. I've been married for 14 years. I don't have any outside kids. My wife has two kids, but to the point, you know, like I always tell people, they're my kids. You know, I've raised them since they were young. But point being is, I had never been on child support. I knew people that have been on child support. So for the guys that been on child support, I know the do's and the don'ts and kind of certain little things that I can kind of work them through. And that's what I'm more or less trying to push with on my channel. It's trying to get the experience of people that are, you know, kind of going into these fields. Just like in a sense of I'm married, I'm gonna give people advice on the way I handle my marriage. You know, everybody is different, but the whole point of it is I'm showing you what works for me. You know, there can be another guy come with a different notion, but the thing of it is taking advice from someone that is not married, don't plan on getting married, that's the wrong path to follow. You know, we go through life at times listening to counsel of people of the worst advice coming out of people that doesn't have a dog in the fight in any topic or any situation. You know, as Blue Blazer talks about life insurance, I'm not gonna go I can go to Kane and ask him certain different things about life insurance, but he don't have life insurance. He don't plan on getting life insurance. He don't want life insurance. If he doesn't even like life insurance, why would I deal with him? But when this guy deals with life insurance and he knows he sells it, why won't I approach him? You know, that's what I'm trying to get an understanding with the community. You know, even with leading to that question, you know, who's gonna be the first to change? Who's gonna be the first to stand up? You know, we need to get more good information out to the people so they can get an understanding of what's going on and how we're gonna deal with situations.
Question, she did you get your book yet?
No, I haven't got it yet.
Okay. I gotta check with, well, he probably gonna send it after the holiday. But yeah, I came to this space, I guess, to speak to other gentlemen about just shit men go through. To know that I'm not alone. But I also came to share information, and to let other brothers know that they're not alone. And so, you know, like with things like the life insurance, the reason I was asking Sheed about if he had received his book is my company, we did a seminar about the importance of owning a home. Now, I did a topic about how to use life insurance to buy the house. Unfortunately, with the speed with which we were trying to breeze through, we really wanted to give the mortgage banker and the attorney more shine. And then have anybody who wanted to learn more about it set a formal appointment, and we can actually direct you through how to have that happen. But they ended up at the webinar. We did a giveaway of 10 books, and he won one. There was another gentleman who comes on these panels with us who did not win the book, but he was highly upset, not at not winning the book, but that there weren't more men from this space there. He was like, y'all said y'all want this. He gave y'all this. Y'all didn't show up. And I explained, you know, the link was broken. He said, I don't care, bro. You put the link up there weeks before. Like, they could have So he was doing what I'm saying. We got to hold us accountable. Nigga, you said you want a house. I'm a licensed real estate agent and a licensed insurance agent. Holding a seminar with a fucking mortgage banker and an attorney. The 4 things you need to close on the fucking thing you said you want, which was a house.
Right.
And you don't show up. So do you really want it? Nah, you just want to be a slave. You want to argue back and forth if Biden and Trump is better, which either don't matter because we still want to drive our BMWs and drink our $7 lattes. So decide who you want to be a slave for and continue.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy, that you mentioned that because I hear a lot of guys want change, talk about change in this community, but it start with the little things. You got major content creators out here, stirring the pot, giving out the message, and whether it be if it's good or bad, people are in there every day, you know, and I always talk on panels and I tell guys, when are we going to start talking about the money? Because
Mhm.
ultimately, we can talk about the women all day, but if we don't start getting ourselves together, how are we going to move the community forward? We have guys in spaces always like, I just get tired of the complaining, about, I understand this, not to get it twisted or get misunderstood. A lot of guys are hurt in this space and I feel their pain. But to do something about the hurt is to get up and make a change. If you fall, scrub your knee, you get up, wipe yourself off, go get the knee patched up, and you continue to walk or you move on in life. Don't sit here as if there's a situation that it's not getting better, ultimately it will never get better. Just try a little harder, kind of, go through life. Let's say if you deal with a woman and the situation with her is not right for you, go to the next woman. If the next woman is not right, then take some time and reflect upon yourself. Because I hear a lot of women in the same pattern. They say they keep getting into a relationship with the same toxic man. And you got to ultimately start reflecting on yourself. Because what Blue Blazer is saying, right? There was a lot of guys. In an instance, I actually didn't even use the link that he put up there. I used the link from my email that I got before, and I actually came into the session. But the funny part was, like he was speaking to that. There's so many guys talking about getting their life together, getting a house, trying to do things, a building, within the community. When I tell guys about driving trucks, same thing. There's a lot of guys talking about no one's hiring. To the extent, you know, if you can't find a job, I mean, what I'm not understanding is there are tip agents. Tip agencies, they pay less, but the point of it is they find you jobs. So when a lot of guys come to the degree with an excuse as if they can't find a job, who are the people you're around? There's a
Right.
lot. The job I got now, I got it through a friend. I got the job through a friend. The job I got before that, I actually hunted it out myself. The job before that, I hunted it out myself. And the job before that, I got it through my brother. So ultimately, when it comes down to it, Will Smith talks about that. The people you associate yourself with, the people you deal with. That's why I tell guys, mostly that are in the space of Atlanta, I tell them, take my number, let's talk. There might be some information I could use to help you out, and there's something you can use to help me out. If you don't want to use phones, we can send each other emails. If you're in the same city with someone that is in this space, that's the funny part I never understand. Why are you guys are not trying to build? Some guys are
Right.
building vaccines. Don't get me wrong, because I've talked to guys off here that are in different states. A lot of guys are technically building, but the ones that are not, like, what is the issue? If you don't have a job and you're in the same city as me, I tell, hey, hit me up. I can tell you certain jobs that I know that's hiring, certain companies that are doing certain things. But the point of it is, at the end of the day, you got to be willing to work. Cut
Right.
everything aside. You have to be willing to work.
Let me ask you a question.
Excuses.
You a truck driver?
Yeah, Sheila.
Yes, I
She,
drive box trucks. I don't drive the
okay.
18 wheelers. I drive box trucks, and
Okay,
it's
my
like
daughter is a truck driver. She been driving trucks since she was 21. She's 23. She plan
okay.
on retiring in 2 or 3 more years. She gonna have her own trucking company. So this girl, I mean, her her mindset is like me when I was young. Also, I like when Blue said about the insurance, life insurance policies. Because what she did, she had graduated at school early. She took her life insurance policy and bought her a house in the state of Indiana for 35,000. Then she flipped that, and then she bought her a little condo. Now, she was in military school, so at the military school, you're supposed to go right into the Air Force, wherever branch you going to school. Somehow, she done talked her way out of it, and she her major was an engineer. So they was so at demand all the time. So they was doing training for trucking. And she had told him, she said, look, she was gonna give him the 2 weeks notice. So what they did was they said, okay, what we'll do is we'll pay for your school for trucking, and then if we need you, we'll get you off road. So this girl is so intelligent and smart that when they need her, she get off the road, but yet she have her fiance, so both of them are partners when it comes to the trucks. They had their own microwave, everything, bed, everything in this truck they drive. So she
Yeah.
planned on retiring at the age of 28, and by then I'm gonna help her have her own trucking business. So now they put her in a program that she leases her truck now, so she get a feel on having her own trucking business.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I hear us talking about business. And again, I want to talk about a little bit about what I do because it has to do with wealth. Can I share my screen possibly? Can you allow me to do that?
I don't know if I can do it on my phone because I'm actually on my phone. Is it possible for me to do that? Let me see. Yeah.
But I would love for her to be on her and her fiance to be on your channel so y'all could talk. Because this girl for her to be young, she was the first Black African American in the state of Indiana to get her trucking CDL license at the age of, they went to school 20, at the 21, the only Black female, the youngest one in the state of Indiana.
Is it
Hmm.
sharing? Oh shit.
Yeah, it's showing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is my back office in terms of what I do. I don't know if the screen is large. Everything probably looks small here. You see my name. And so what I wanted to talk to y'all about was y'all keep talking about businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to show you a calculator here that has a lot to do with business. Actually, is this it? Buy-sell agreement. This is retirement income. So these are things that I, as a financial professional, would sit down with you as a business owner and go over. For example, you said, should her and her spouse come together for the business? How does inflation impact? And these are all calculators. So, for example, you said she did a lump sum purchase of her home. So the
Yeah.
important is, actually, let's look at this one. How will retirement impact my living expenses? So if I click on that, you see I have an entire calculator here. So we can put
That
in,
would relate to me because I'm retired.
you're currently retired?
Yes, I'm retired.
Okay. So you would like to do a calculation of seeing, pre-retirement, let's say, it's $50,000 a year, right? I'm just doing that so they don't have to fill in the rest of the info. But as you can see, it's all your expenses and everything. Like I said, when you sit down with a financial professional, an insurance agent, they're supposed to help you identify and protect your lifestyle.
Yeah,
So
I
as
have an
you
accountant.
Yeah, no, the accountant is great. They should be working with your insurance agent. So your
They do.
financial professional should be working with, I'm sorry, say it again.
They do. And I
Oh,
have a lawyer also. Yeah. So I retired at a young age or whatever. So everything I have is paid for. So I have no mortgage. I have no car payment, nothing.
wonderful. So I'm not talking about you specifically, but I am talking about it relating into businesses. And so the correlation is that all of these things are here and we're helping to identify and protect your lifestyle. Often you need to be reviewing this every 6 months, but at least once every 2 years, because even in retirement, you have to, if things are going to change, every 2 years, the tax code changes.
Right.
Every 2 years, we have to go through continuing education. Every 2 years, your stockbroker has to go through continuing education. Did you know that every year your insurance agent is being paid even though you haven't bought anything?
Yes.
Okay. Did you're being charged money management fees? Well, I understand you understand this. I don't mean you specifically. We've spoken, but again, people aren't understanding this. This is Social Security, inflation. I'm retired. How long will my savings last? Should I convert discretionary expenses into savings? I'm looking for the business one. Hold on. This one. This is taxes and debt. I'm looking for my calculator, which is something called a buy-sell agreement. That's what I wanted to talk to you about business. This is about home mortgages.
And see, the state is different. So when you retire from the state, we have everything. We have our lawyers. We have everything.
Well, I love working with the state because the state.
That's good.
I'm sorry.
I say that's good. That's excellent.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. I love working with the state. They're great, but see, the state is easier to work with than the Fed. See, the federal government takes care of everything, and they block out financial professionals from selling certain things to federal employees. It's kind of like a way to make a federal job great for you. Black men, please go to usajobs.gov. That's usajobs.gov, usajobs.gov. I'm not affiliated with them, but it's a great way that apparently a lot of Black men get employed inside of the federal government, especially in the Department of Treasury. And we can get Treasury, meaning the money. There are a lot of Black men who are upwardly mobile in the federal government, evidenced by many members of my own family. usajobs.gov, usajobs.gov. You can also go be a part of the FBI. However, if you have smoked marijuana in the last 2 years, get the shampoo because they do a hair pluck. usajobs.gov. Let's be Black militants and take over the government from the inside.
I'm gonna have a question to ask you too, because I know they hide a lot of things. At the time, because I've been married for 25 years, I got a divorce.
Capital gain.
Well, when I was working for the state, we had divorce insurance. And that wasn't really for Blacks, it was for Caucasian women. Okay. And I took a big lump sum under my divorce insurance. And I was only paying $15 a month.
Some things that they call insurance aren't insurance. It's just a simple way to fool people. That's not an insurance.
No, it was because my cash out was pretty good when I got a divorce. So to make sure that my lifestyle was still the same.
It's just like they tell you have insurance on your phone. You don't. That's just a backup plan, but it's easy to just say insurance, and it's a word. It's kind of like saying Kleenex.
Okay. Well, you know about Geraldine insurance too, like for your body parts, if something happened to you.
Yeah, that's something you get from
you had to work. They pay for your car payments.
Yeah, that's property and casualty. So that's a separate product from this. This is life and financial. But what you're talking about does exist. So actually, I'm wrong. What you're talking about.
So I'm gonna ask you a question because this your range. Why they went down on it now? Because when I did mine, it was over 150,000. Now I see they only have them for 25,000, 30,000.
What are you talking about?
For the woman's the divorce insurance, like to make sure, like, okay, like you have insurance on your car, something happen, whatever. So we get a divorce, we get a lump sum, and we have paid into
I mean, that's
insurance
alimony.
insurance. No, it's not that. It's called life insurance, divorce life insurance policy. And now they hit it under something else. I'm gonna ask my sister because she had it. They hit it.
That's a life insurance policy that you get that's irrevocable, but that's like what you're talking about is a protection. So like I said, I'm wrong.
Yes.
It does exist, but it's not what
it was. I got it back in
For example,
2000.
All right, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I sell mortgage protection, life insurance, right? So people are thinking that they have something completely different. So I would come into your household and sit with you and your family and say, listen, man, I don't know about getting this life insurance, but this income protection plan, you should get it. Sign here on the dotted line. Then walk out the house without you realizing you just bought life insurance. And I told you it was something completely fucking different.
I'm telling you, I got a big check after my divorce.
But insurance is to make you whole after a loss.
Okay.
So it's called indemnification. Nothing like that would be possible. Because then, for example, spaces like this would be even worse. Because people would go willy-nilly get married and get a divorce. Now, if there is something written into the contract of a prenuptial agreement that says, if X happens, I get Y amount of money, that's more likely. But
I know I got a big lump sum after my divorce. I know that. So I know, yeah, I got over 200 something thousand.
How much did you pay per month?
I paid in it $15
per
month.
For how well? Yeah, it doesn't matter how long. Once the event happens, you're.
And then I got the highest because one of my coworkers was telling me, and we had the Jordan insurance because state have all kind of insurance. They take all that stuff out the check. So she said, just in case, Sheila, I had a Jordan insurance, so you get hurt, like if you get out of work, they pay for everything. Yeah. So I got a big sum after my divorce. I didn't want in my divorce, but it was pretty good. I mean, I paid off the house and everything. It was pretty good money for it to be $15 a month for over, like.
Did your ex-husband die or something?
No.
It might be. You might have to look into that type of insurance because it just might
look into it because I had looked into it and now it said the highest they have now is 50,000. And see, that's what I'm saying. They do a lot of things, just like bankruptcy. They were doing bankruptcy when Black people got a hold of bankruptcy. See how they changed it? And I'm telling you, I would agree with you. My divorce, I was after my divorce, I was living love. I'm living good, I'm not bragging. I said a simple life. Huh? What you say?
No, I said I would agree with you because a lot of times that is what happens. A lot of times, like there is programs that's out there, but it's like as soon as we figure out about those programs, they make changes to them that makes it harder for us to get them, or they just change it. Period, and they make it something else. It does. That does happen. That does happen a lot.
Yeah. That again. That sounds like that would be a property and casualty product, if anything, because that would be like jewelry or specific item insurance, where you insure a specific item. That would be something like Lloyd's of London, where Tina Turner insured her legs, or her voice, or Jennifer Lopez insured her legs. Like that. That's a reinsurance. So something like that today, like maybe that's a surplus line. Like, for example, if people have specialty cars, you can't just go to State Farm. You got to go to Haggerty or a specific place because you got, rims or, so
you're probably right because I have a Mercedes and I bought it brand new off the lot. A year before, I bought it in 2016. My car, 2017, I got a special made. It's only for United States, and they had me sign an agreement that I could not sell my car overseas because
What?
if I sell it overseas, I would never ever be able to buy a Mercedes in the United States again.
What?
Yes, you see, a
That's
lot of people
cool.
don't know. If you buy a Mercedes brand new, I bought a brand new. I built my car, and a lot of people don't know that if you buy a Mercedes and you sell it overseas, and they have you sign a paper, you could never ever buy another Mercedes in the United States again. Because I paid what, 58,000 for my car, and I could sell that triple over. So I had to sign a paper saying that I would not sell my car overseas. And if I do, I could never, long as I live, buy another Mercedes in the United States.
Mm,
Hmm.
dang. That's crazy.
See, a lot of people don't know that. Yeah. Yeah. So you don't know that if you have car payments, but when you buy your car cash, you have to sign that. Yes.
Mm,
Yeah,
So look
'cause
into that. See, that's your lane. Looking to that for your people. Yeah. And
yeah.
then they
yeah,
also
'cause-
give you deals because I got the discount for the seller. I got this discount. So I got 7-year warranty on my car. I get my car service every year, everything.
What?
So I know when you pay different things, and we was taught very well by my mother, you get a lot of deals, a lot of stuff they have to do to not let us black people know.
But you're going directly
yeah,
to the dealer?
Yes, I built my car offline. It's an
Oh,
emerald
okay.
green, it's only for United States. I built it how I want it, and I paid cash for it.
Well, damn.
yeah. But that
Yeah.
speaks to like a friend I know. He actually went in to go get I think it was like a 25th edition Viper, and they wanted I think it was like 180,000 or something like that. And the man wife, because he had the money cash to pay for the car, he had 200,000 to pay for a car. And his wife was like, "Nah, don't do that." She was like, "Don't pay for that car." She just kept arguing and kept arguing with him. It got to the point where he was in this store that's what they strictly do, nothing but high performance cars. So this company that worked for their place, their body shop, was kind of trying to get into the car market. So they told him that they will build him a car, and the car was going to be a payments. I think like 1,500 a month, whatever, till he got to pay it off of 300,000. Pretty much no interest. They kind of just dealt directly cash with him because this was their first time actually doing it, and they didn't actually know what they were doing. So upon approaching the car, upon purchasing the car, he had all the specs to the car. This was his car. There was not another car to be duplicated, just like this one. And he was actually getting the car serviced because the car is made just like the Formula One cars, where they have panels to actually snap on a frame to build a type of car. So say if he get into a car wreck, they snap the panels off. As long as the frame isn't bent, they can just put new panels on. No issue. And I mean, it's kind of weird how it's built, but it's very insulated, quiet, and everything. But it's just more or less how the car is built. It's kind of weird to the untrained eye. And he actually has that car for $1 million right now because there was a guy that came in there when he was having his service. This guy had a Lamborghini and wanted that car, and because he couldn't find that car because he was such a like kind of spoiled because he had a lot of money, he offered the guy like 500,000, 750,000 for the car, but the guy didn't want to sell. So ultimately, the company had to make this guy a car just like that one, but because of the specs, they actually made the car smaller. But still, that car stands at $1 million right now.
Yeah, when you're spending that type of money, you get a different type of treatment. When you're spending that type of money, you get a different type of treatment when it comes to them type of things. You ain't gonna get no average regular insurance when it comes to stuff like that.
And I be in car shows too. I was in the car show too. So my car was in the
Oh,
car.
you got one of them cars, huh, Sheila? You starting
Yeah.
on us, huh, Sheila?
I have not seen my car yet. It's only for United States. Yeah. But it's a GL 250 Mercedes.
Oh, that's the car I
It's a
want.
Okay,
crossover.
My driver's
Yeah.
license.
And it's green. So
okay.
every time, everybody love that car. Yeah. Something different. But go ahead. I want to hear what he had to say because he have a lot of information when it comes to business.
So I'm listening. I'm just playing around. I'm trying to I was looking for something that explains the buy-sell agreement and what a buy-sell agreement is. I'll have to find it. But what I'm showing you right now is something called an indexed universal life insurance policy. So everybody here is familiar with the stock Tesla, and everybody is celebrating the stock Tesla going to the S&P 500. However, this is a life insurance policy, which life insurance companies have been dividend paying for over 120 years consistently, more than any investment ever. And so this is what mirrors the S&P 500. So the current ceiling rate is 6.4%, and the current floor rate is 4.35%. So what that means to the average investor's ear is when the stock market is doing well, the assumed rate current is 6.4%. There is no cap, well, 100%. So that would mean 13% is the cap. And then the floor would be 4.35%, and you're currently assumed rate at 6.4%. So what does that mean? Well, if you have a high yield banking interest bank account, you earn 0.8% is, I believe, the highest I've seen now. So what that means is for every $100, or excuse me, for every $1,000 that you keep in this bank account, it takes 1 year for it to earn $80. For every $1,000 that you keep in this life insurance policy, it takes 1 month for you to earn $64. Would you rather $80 a year or $64 a month?
Okay.
Yeah,
And
numbers don't
also,
lie.
can you explain to the people different life insurance policy? Because it's a policy that you can borrow for your life insurance policy, and then there's another
If you want to
policy
borrow
that
money,
you
go to
can.
the bank.
Yes. Can you explain that too?
Yeah,
Because a lot of people don't
that'd be a better
understand that.
bet.
Yeah, this is that type of policy. But if you want to borrow money, go to the bank. So speaking to this is we're looking at interest rates and investment grade products. So there's two types of life insurance. There's term life insurance, which is no cash value, and there's permanent life insurance, which is cash value, which is what I'm showing you now. Now, when it comes to cash value, there are a multitude. If you want to learn more, book a session. We can definitely go to the specifics because I don't want anybody sharing their specific information where people can publicly see it. I'll share
Yeah,
mine,
but
but
I don't want us to veer us too far from Sheed's topic. The game you're giving up right now, Blue Blazer, is definitely some good game. But
Yes, it is.
in
Thank
the
you,
same
brother.
token,
facts. And
our
it's almost
community, our community is in shambles. So most of these folks ain't even worried about life insurance because they worried about the wrong thing.
What they worried
They
about
busy
investment.
trying to worry about how to. They're busy worried about how to come together and how to work. They don't even want to come together really at this point.
Right.
At this point, everybody want to be individualists, and they don't care what's going on. So that's the problem you got to get over first. If you can't get over that problem, there ain't nobody gonna care about no life insurance. And like I said, you're giving away good information. I'm not trying to say what you're saying is not right, but
Oh, no, no,
to get
no.
back to Sheets topic, what are we gonna do, or what can we do to make changes in the community?
We had to get involved in the community. You can't make changes if you're not involved.
Because
Yeah.
if you speak to a lot of brothers in certain spaces, they don't even care about the community. They say let it burn.
Facts.
But we
And
had to be the change you want to be. So regardless of how, because I was to the point too. I was tired. I was tired of fussing and going to meetings and taking up for people. They don't want to take up for themselves and oh, you don't live in a city, but I was born and raised there, and you and this and that or whatever. But the end of the day is our people are suffering, and you got some who live there. They're just living there to keep their heads above water. They don't have nowhere else to go. They don't get social service. They work every day. You got the ones who have business there. My nephew had a business where they don't try to rob him twice. You know, so like I said, we have to really, really, really think about each other because that's all we have, each other. And we wonder why a lot of people leave out the inner city because we like crabs in a barrel. When you see somebody good, why would you want to rob your brother and your sister? And they're trying to make it like you making it.
But it goes back to what I was talking.
Go ahead, she.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, but yeah, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. The structure. I mean, what you're talking about is right, Sheila. You got guys in the community robbing each other to the effect of, this is all they knew. This is how they grew up to, have that mentality of that type of situation in our community. You know, Tupac, he had that song where it was Tupac was yeah, when he was talking about it ain't them that's killing us off, it's us that's killing us off. You got to
Yeah.
understand the way things are going, everything is on autopilot. So they can talk about racism, they can talk about the way the economy is, even when Blue Blaze is talking about this life insurance situation, to the point Kane is right. A lot of guys can't even get the first step together. And that's what, having issues with self realize that, you gotta do some internal digging to kind of understand what you want. If you want a family or not. And like I was saying about being on autopilot, right now they don't have to impose so much racist terms or things in our community because we've already adapted the stereotypes. You know, how many
Exactly.
times do we hear
Exactly.
on panels? How many times do we hear on panels? We hear guys say, black people don't read. That's pushed in our community. No, we can say that, yeah, it's true, but the point of it is, if we keep saying it, then eventually it's going to be more adopted to where everybody's just going to accept it. That's just how it is.
Yeah, it sticks. It sticks. Because
Yeah,
that's something, it's not like it's something new. This is something they've been doing. This is something they've been said. This is why they put a lot of information in books. Back in the day, brothers didn't know how to read, so a lot of truth was in books. It was right there, the
Yes.
information you needed to know.
yeah. And Blue
Excuse
Blaze,
me,
I'm
I'm
gonna
hearing
ask.
y'all. I'm in the kitchen. I'm covering my food. I'm cooking. Go ahead. I'm hearing y'all.
Okay,
Now we have the information, and brothers are still using it wrong. Like you could tell somebody the truth to their face, and they gonna look at you like, nah, I don't want to hear it. This is on both sides, men and women. And when it comes to the women acting the way they acting, don't mess with them. As long as there's dudes out there that's gonna mess with them, they will continue acting the way they act.
I,
So
I
this is
agree
why
with you.
brothers have to speak to the other brothers. You can't fight against them and want to make an argument or you a sucker or no. Give them the information and keep pushing that information.
Yeah, because ultimately you got to understand, like even with Blue Blaze, I'm gonna actually do a one-on-one with you talking about life insurance, and everything, because that's what like I said, I got pretty much different types of life insurance, and I kind of start coming in that at more of a not an older age, but to kind of mid into my life, after I had kids. But ultimately, like I said, guys, if we know this much younger, man, we can prevent these high costs. I heard a lady express last night that she was without funds and couldn't actually pay life insurance even if she could get it. And that topic speaks to us. What are we dealing with? The type of relationships we in. We have no money to pay bills or certain things. You know, what holds account for our community, and ultimately, if the men and the women can't come to the table to agree upon things, like I always tell guys that want to go SYSB, I don't have a problem. I always tell guys, go what make you happy. You know, if you have a Chinese or whatever woman makes you happy, so be it. But you know, don't go out the community first. You know, that shouldn't be your first option. You have guys in this space, they ultimately come here to try to figure out how to go overseas and pick up women. You know, if you can't start within your community, it don't work out, then you spread abroad, so be it. But don't make that going out of the community be your first priority. You know, and that's what I don't understand. You know, just like I hear a lot of people talking within the community talking about the way these women are. You know, and a lot of women they do come out and say that you know their mothers exhibit some of the behaviors of which these women are out here doing and kind of representing themselves. So I mean, to the extent okay, don't deal with those women. You know, even if you have an issue with your mom and the way she's doing certain things, I understand that. But you know, every woman isn't the same. You know, like if you choose to go outside the culture, this so be it. But Sheila, I want to know, put you on mute. You can actually unmute when you want to talk. There's a little background noise.
Okay.
Yeah, but when it come down,
You right. You
no, you
right.
you good. Yeah.
That's why I like being in y'all spaces because y'all talk about business and different stuff. And like I said, my life, I always been like a business minded. I want the best for my family, you know, for my daughters, and all that gossiping and negativity and stuff. That's not me. So that's why I be in a lot of like male spaces because y'all talking business talk. You know, I don't want to hear that idle talk. I want to know, you know, what can we do now? I'm doing the work, been doing the work for decades. I'm going inside of facilities, um, the women's in the jailhouse, doing women empowerment program. I do church without walls. I sit on boards, first home time owners to help them own their own home. My uncle, he's sitting on a $30 million program for housing for homeless women, you know, stuff like that. So we get together and we do different things in our community, you know. And it's sad that when I hear these things on YouTube, and I mean, like, wow, like, is that bad? Because the brothers I sit with, I mean, they're educated, they're smart, they need me. I need them because we come together. It's like iron sharper iron. We need each other to build what we have to build for our people. And I know not everybody want to do right, but the ones who do want to do right, those are the ones I'm helping. You know,
Yeah,
I'm trying
that's
to
the ones
teach
you
that
link
young
up
girl,
with.
you don't have to sell your body. You don't have to get pregnant at a young age because her mother's not teaching her. You got the mothers, the grandmothers, and the daughters hanging out the clubs together. You know what I'm saying? Twerking, living off of social service, having kids at the kids. You know, the government paying for their housing, and you know, just certain things that I'm not judgmental. I sit down and I mentor to the girls. You know, and like I said, a lot of people ain't understand why these schools are closed. You know, that's some of the places where those kids safe place, where they eat 3 meals a day at, where they had their quiet time. Some of them had to go home, their mother on crack, or she been on the crack speed for 2 or 3 days, or being molested by. There's a lot of stuff in the inner city that a lot of people don't even know. And yet we judge them, and it's sad. And that's why I don't judge. See, I know the problem. I don't want to be a part of the problem. I want to be a part of the solution. And that's why every time you come around, I'm always thinking, I'm a thinker, trying to, you know, tell the churches, let's come up with this for the kids. They're at a school, majority of them, their mother going to sell the food stamps. They're going to need a meal, you know? So I came up with a program to feed the kids. Every year, I bless 150 family toys for tots. You know, so it's
See,
sad when I
Sheila,
know.
see, Sheila. I'm gonna tell y'all something that So they call it black people, but this is me being God.
Hmm.
I'm not a personally. I'm not a judge. I don't care what you do, but I will judge you and tell you what you're doing wrong and give you the right path. It is on you if you want to take it or not. If you don't want to take it, then I have all rights to judge you because you're taking the wrong route. So that's one of the issues we have in the black community. We don't judge
Hmm.
people when we see them doing fucked up shit. If you're doing bullshit, you gotta judge that person and tell them, explain to them, say it out loud, explain to them the shit that they're doing wrong and what they could do to change that. And if they don't want to change it, you have all rights to judge them because they on some bullshit. There's levels to
And I
this
get
shit.
the
There's gonna
parent.
be
You
that
know
lower
what?
level.
Okay, I get the parents because the child don't know no better. You know what I'm saying? They only duplicating what their mother doing, copying what their mother doing. See, I get the parents because you know better. You know what I'm saying? And you have all these men in and out your house, and majority of them they don't want you. They want your daughter. You know. So now you put your
Mm,
kids in danger. If you, I talk to them like that. I
mm.
keep it real with them. While you locked up in here doing time, robbing somebody, or selling crack, or was selling your body, now your kids in the system, or your mother watching your child, or the father take care. I have real talk with them. I don't play with them, and I let them
Yeah,
know.
because back in the day, the community judged what the hell was going on in the community.
Hmm.
If your neighbor saw some bullshit going on, they would step outside and let it be known, hey, you on some bullshit. What the hell you doing? Back then, take it even further. Back then, your neighbor could have put hands on your kid, like, yo, what
Okay,
the hell you doing out here? Put hands on you, then send you home, and you get more hands put on you.
okay. We done got beat 3 times before we went home. Then mama gonna beat us. And I still do that today. I chastise kids. They're like, Miss, I said, no. I said, come here, come here. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I said, you know
That's
what?
what a
You is not
community
going
is.
outside the house looking like that. You ain't going to school looking like. I said, go in there. Well, I ain't got nothing else. My mother ain't washed clothes. I got to put something out my closet to give them to wear because you're not going to school
That's the
looking like
thing.
that.
The certain values that the community had back in the day, the community don't have now. We don't have the same type of values when it comes to the community. Your neighbor say something to your kid, you ready to take your neighbor head off. That's why they said it took a village to raise a child. That's the way it was back then. We got away from that shit, and we caught up in all the other bullshit that goes on in this society nowadays. We got to take our shit back. But motherfuckers ain't willing to take that what's the word I'm looking for? They're not trying to stand in that square to where you want to be a leader.
Yeah, and that's the
The
biggest
men,
thing
the
with our
men,
community.
yeah,
Yeah, it's accountability. When guys on this panel say things and they do certain ways, that's kind of ill, and it kind of falls on deaf ear. Like we're just gonna accept it. No, you shouldn't accept
yeah,
people who do things wrong in this space. Because ultimately that's the same thing what you're talking about with the community. The community was raising the kids. The neighborhood was the ones where you go to have fun. Even Gold Professor to his standard. He said, we're in a community versus a neighborhood. A community is where you build. The neighborhood is just where you live. You live there, you don't associate with no one, you stay to yourself. But the community builds within itself. They help each other out. They look out for one another. I have neighbors over here, I kind of talk to within my circle. We don't speak as much, but when we see each other, we nod, we greet each other. We talk about certain issues and certain things in the area. We talk about how they're trying to gentrify the area and how the cost of living is going up. How they're building sidewalks over here. And that speaks volume to the rate of my house. The value of my house is going to go up, eventually, because
That's a
what they're
blessing.
trying to do and cleaning the community. A lot of people look at gentrification as being bad, but it's only
It's a
bad if
good
you're on the
thing.
other side. It's only bad. Yes, it's good, but it's
exactly,
only bad if you're on the other side.
exactly,
You got
exactly.
to be the one to step out to do the renting instead of the renting versus the buying. Even if you're renting a house, put yourself in a predicament in buying. And everything build back to this topic. Who's gonna step out first? Who's gonna try to lead the community? There in some cases there are women that come out here. Like I said, and for instance, like Sheila, that comes out. She does things for the community. You have more like even in Atlanta, everybody talks about what's her name, Stacey Abrams, how she's getting these people to vote out here. You know, are we putting the eye on Warnock, or is he doing the same thing? You know, Stacey, she filled in the gap. She's seen this. You know, spite the what she's doing or what her intent of how she's doing it. You know, she's actually pushing the community in this direction. You know, we can't
Yeah, and every
fault
time you
her.
see somebody, and every
Go
time you
ahead.
see somebody, sorry to cut you off, she, but every time you see somebody trying to even make an inch towards doing something correct, what you see, brother, shoot them down. They always try to find something, a flaw in them. That ain't come from us. That ain't our culture. That's what I'm saying. My brother's still about the culture. What culture do you have being here? You're not living by your culture standards. And when it comes to the black culture, it's a dysfunctional culture that they bigging up. The culture they want to say that we have is a dysfunctional culture.
Hmm.
Brothers ain't stand on their square. If you ain't stand on their square, of course your woman ain't gonna follow. The men ain't stand on their square. That's why the women is out of order right now. And yes, they have a one up because we live in a culture where the culture that we live in is telling them to act that way. So we trying to fight two fights in one battle. You got to pick one. Defeat one battle, and the women will change. But nobody want to go that route. Nobody want to go that route where they want to try to get at the root cause of what's the issue. Nobody ain't really trying to step to that battle. And this is where
You
knowledge
know
of
what,
self come into play.
She and Kane, let me tell you what I did. This how radical I am. Y'all gonna think it's not, and I'm being honest, you know, God protect fools and babies. I'm a bullhorn person. So it was a lot of contractors would come into the inner city where I grew up at, and they would not get blacks jobs. So what I would do is me and a couple of Pookie and Ray Rays, because it was radical. You had the power to the people. So they said, Sheila, they're coming in here. They ain't giving the black people jobs. So I would ride my car one block, act like it broke down, put the hood up, and then I had my girl do her car like that, and we had the trucks in. So they be like, "Can we said, oh no, our car can't move." And I said, anyway, do you see that sign? They said, what sign? I said, come at your own risk. Now, you done got all these jobs. Ain't no blacks. I said, so being ain't no blacks working, y'all won't be doing no work. So they call the cops, and the cops say, she'll always do that. That's what she'll. Well, you mean to tell me y'all gonna let her do stuff like that? I'm so radical in my community that they already know, the cops already know. When they said, oh God, that's what she'll do or whatever. But I had to realize our people would get the jobs, they wouldn't even stay in the jobs for a week. And these jobs were making like $25 an hour. They would get their first paycheck and we would go back to work. I had my
Man, I
mayor
come.
sign a contract. I shut the whole city council down. Me and the guy, I said, look, this we're gonna do. I said, I'm gonna have her sign his contract. I said, y'all, I want y'all at the doors. I said, at the door, I said, don't worry about the chief of police because he ain't got his gun. I said, we're going to shut this whole meeting down. I came with a proposal. I said, she's going to sign it. I said, they're going to get jobs. And I'm telling you, if they don't sign it, I said, I'm going to tell them nobody going in and nobody going out. So that's what I told. She was like, well, Sheila, you can't do that. I said, yes, I can. Yes, I can. I said, now, on the rule, this, that. Y'all got to get so many young black jobs. And like I said, if you don't sign this contract, nobody going in, nobody going out. Okay, call your husband, call your wives, because y'all be sleeping in the city council tonight. So she signed it, got the jobs. The people ain't even stay at the jobs for long. Our people ain't, and two of them did. They've been in for like 5 years now, making good money. A couple of them got one check, two checks, and they ain't even stay at the job long. That hurted me so bad.
Can they come out?
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing about the community. Like I was saying earlier, a lot of guys talking about there's no work out here. You know, they have temp agencies. You have friends that are working. So you mean to tell me you got a friend that has a job, he can't put a word in for you, or he can't even, not even just putting a word in for you, because he probably know you're a lazy individual. Just the whole point of him saying that my job is hiring. Don't use my name, but just go down there and fill out an application. To the extent of that. That's what I don't understand with a lot of these guys. You got to understand when it comes down to it, what are we doing? Blue Blazer, you want me to go ahead and share your screen again, or
I was having technical difficulties. My fault. I didn't even know you were still sharing that. I was sitting there just playing around with some of the stuff and actually looking for the calculator because I wanted to show a buy-sell agreement. But it's 10 after 1, and my wife has made some waffles, eggs, and bacon and turned on the football game.
Time to get
Oh,
that eat on.
and it was a pleasant meeting you, brother. And thank you for your wisdom. I had your information. I will be in contact with you and tell my
Please
people about you. So you
do.
know what? Thank you, and keep on doing what you're doing. And God bless you and your family.
Thank you. Same to you, sis. And I definitely, because like I said, you've already got something that I'm trying to do. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna come to you and let you work your mojo and do what the black woman does best and bring out the best in the black man.
That's right.
And with that being said, peace and black power, y'all. I'm out.
Okay. God bless.
yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Actually, I want to kind of push into this space of getting connections. When it comes down to it, we can have fun and joke and play all the time, but when it's time to get down to business, I want to be able to get down to business. Discussing in the community, like I said, if the men are going to be the one to step forward, you know, Roger, he puts out a lot of stuff, with kind of holding men to the fault, holding women to the fault, to where their behavior is acting, to the point where this whole married before 30, it's not going to benefit the women in most cases, to where from their standpoint they're looking at it, but it's going to put them to be accountable, because if you're not trying to get married before 30, that kind of shows your mentality on what you're trying to, if you can get married after 30, but the point of it is he's saying that the value is going to be lower, and most women want to get married. Most women want to have relations, so what is going to be the problem, and that sets that standard to where you're actually growing with a man that's making the money. You're setting the standard to, having a family at a young age, to where you can grow with this man and the kids and be
That's right.
successful. you
That's
know
right.
that's how a lot of the community back in the day was built. You
That's
got
how we
together at a
was.
young
That's
age.
right.
Yeah. You invested in a relationship at a young age. All this trying to make millions upon millions in your 30s and 40s, maybe even 50s, and think about getting married. What type of lifestyle are you going to give to your child at 50 years old? I know a guy that was 60, I think it was 62 when he
Mm-hmm.
had his last child. You know,
Wow.
what type of baseball and
Wow.
stuff are you going to give that child? I mean, it's to know that the guy was this old and was still out here making kids. Like, to his surprise, he didn't think he could have a kid. He got with a younger girl, messing around with her, and ultimately had a kid by her. And he was shocked just as much as she was shocked, because to the point she wanted a child, but this guy was very much wealthy. I mean, wealthy, and she liked it, his company. So she knew ultimately she couldn't have kids, and she accepted it. So the point of her having a kid at an older age, I mean, at his old age, and I believe she was like in her early 30s or mid 30s. So it kind of, took a shock to both of them. But, the kid is not going to be able to have somebody to play with, because what if this guy dies within the, what, first 3 years of that child being born? What type of community, I mean, what type of influence will he have on that child's life? A lot of people got to realize that in some cases, to a point where, you got to rationalize what type of lifestyle do you want for your kids. That's even if you want kids. And that
Right.
goes back to what I'm saying earlier. that, if you're giving information to the youth, give the information with experience and results. Like I said, we had a young guy in Rogers County. He wanted to get married. It was a total of 2 to 3, maybe even more guys telling this guy the worst stories, the don't get married, to making women sign a contract before marriage. I mean, I understand the prenup, but to get a woman to sign a contract to where if you get a divorce that you're keeping the kid, I told the guy, what woman would actually sign a contract like that? That baby's coming between both of you guys. You guys had an agreement to have the baby, and even if one of you decided you didn't want to have the baby, ultimately, in the woman's case, she can have an abortion, and there's nothing that the man can go by. But ultimately, if that man doesn't want to have that child, and that woman still has the child, there's a situation where he has to go on child support. But the notion of a man trying to take a child before the child is even born to make the woman signs a paper, I don't know on earth what woman would actually sign a paper like that. She would have to really have some type of depth of love for you or something to just sign over an unborn child just for the love of you. It's radical for me to tell someone at that young age, a young brother at that young age, that make your woman sign a paper to keep your child. Ultimately, you talk about these things. You have relations before you start, actually messing around to the point of having a child. What is going to be the agreement? And if she agrees to something like that, then I understand what her signing the paperwork, because that's what she agrees to. Now, if she doesn't agree to that, you have to make the decision of not having kids with this lady, or even cutting off the relationship in general. Because if you're going to tell someone to do that, these guys have to understand the information that you're learning from these guys. You got to understand what the consequences and the issues at hand. Ultimately, if you get into a relationship and you do have a child, then so be it. So when it boils down to that, you have to make that decision. And like I told the men, all they told him, I said, point blank, are you married? Do you want kids? One of the guys said he didn't want kids. So I asked him, I said, why are you giving information to a guy that wants a family and want kids? You don't want kids, you don't want to be married, and you don't want a family. So what information are you giving him that's going to help him versus harm him? And the guy got quiet. I hear guys talk information, trying to give brothers advice, or I've been through this, you don't want to go through this route, you don't want to deal with this. But the information is key. Don't come from a self, that you have no interest in. If you don't desire to get married, why are you giving someone information about getting married? And that speaks to the youth and the elders, where we have a disconnect, because you have a lot of these younger guys getting bad information from the elders, and it puts a stereotype to all elders. I respect my elders. I respect older men. I deal with older men on constant. I told you I have a minimum of less than 5 friends that I deal with that are around my age, if that. Majority of the men I can tell you I have at least over 15 older guys that I constantly stay in contact with. I talk to, we constantly have, just socialize, talk about them, I play cards with these guys every other weekend, just about. And that's the thing, building relationships and bonds with each other, to where you learn how to be a man. If you're not a man, you can learn from another man, passing down knowledge. That's the key, passing down the knowledge to help the youth, helping these young men out of their, situation that they're in, helping these young women how to be the woman that, they want you to be. In most cases, that's what we're lacking in the community. So that's why I posed the question, to try to get an understanding.
Yes. Right. And we do need that. That's why I came up with the round table in our community for the young girls and the boys, that talk. Sometimes they can't talk to their mother, or their brothers and sisters, and when we say at the table, stay at the table. But when it comes to them having sex at a young age and stuff like that, And I always tell them, please talk to your mom about that, um, because having a child is really, you too young really to be thinking about even having sex or anything. Focus on your education and, because at the time we was having, girls was having, getting pregnant at the age of 13, you know? Um, it's a lot. It's really a lot when you working in the inner city. It's not easy. It's not easy. And you don't have a lot of help neither, you know. People get tired, um, and they give up because they've been working so many years and it's only a handful who doing the same, go to the same old meetings. We address the same old issues and it's little by little it's getting done, but we still have a lot we have to accomplish.
No, I agree with y'all. I'm still here with y'all. I just had to was in the store real quick, but I agree with y'all completely, man. I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about that with brothers that don't have no plan on getting married or having kids, trying to push their life on the youngster. Like if that's what your decision was, that's what your decision was. But don't push that on a youngster that hasn't experienced life to not have kids or don't get married. That's insane to me. He has to experience his own life and make his decisions. Like you could give him certain things that to teach him what to watch out for. But to just straight tell him push your life on him like that, like don't have kids, don't get married, that's insane to me. I can't accept that. That's insane. You can't do that. That's wrong information to give somebody.
Because I had asked my grandmother, where did this generation go wrong at? Before she passed away, I had to ask her. I said, where did, because she kept on saying, Sheila, you can't save the whole world. I said, where did it go wrong at, Grandma? I want to know because, that's when I was running for board education. And she said, Sheila, it started at home. I said, I know that, but she said, Sheila, how are they gonna know different things if they're not being taught at home? I said, I know that. I said, but I'm teaching them. She said, yeah, you teaching them with your nice little program, but still, they're still going back home in that environment. I said, Grandma, I know. She said, Sheila, they're still going back in that environment. So that's mean like when they're with you, they cleaned up, but then they're going back into that poison again.
Well,
And I
yeah,
was
that's
like,
the way. That's the way it goes. Like I said, in your home, you'll get fundamentals. You'll get the foundation and certain fundamentals from your home. When you go out in the real world, it's a whole other thing. I've been a kid before, and that's a lot of thing that happens with people once they become adults. That they forget their child. Their child. I was in the street, did everything. I ain't living from
You,
home.
you, you're breaking up, Kay.
Nobody in my household.
you
Oh yes, I'm
bored.
driving. My bad. I'm driving. My bad. But yeah, people forget that. People forget that they were kids once they become an adult. A lot of times, kids don't like going to their parents, and especially if they learn certain things in their home, and then when they go out in the streets and they see that there's something different that goes on in the streets, a lot of kids don't bring that to their parents. Like this is what I learned in the streets, or they might be just doing certain things with their friends. You have you can't forget friends have the people you choose to have around you. They can make certain peer pressure and certain decisions that happens in your life, and that's what happens. That's what happens a lot of times. You could be in your own because I always hear people try to blame the parents. A lot of parents try to do the best that they can. Are they messed up parents? Yes, they are parents that's messed up. But for the most part, most of my friends or people I know, they try to do the best they can with their kids, but once their kid go out into the world, This is what I'm saying. This goes back to society. This is what society pushes. This is why a lot of these stuff affects families. What goes on in society, the way you dress, the way you speak, all this, it comes from going out in the world and experiencing real life. You could do whatever you want to do. You could do whatever you want to do within your household, but once your kids leave your home, this is why you have to give them the foundation. You have to give them fundamentals. And as us being older, speaking to the youth, you have to give them fundamentals. You can't push crazy. You can't give them crazy ideologies at a young age. You're creating a monster.
Yeah.
Cause you speaking about it, I know the panel you talking about that you was on Sheet. You talking about a brother that, cause me personally, I met my wife when she was 13. I was 16, and I pretty much raised her because she saw the way I was moving. Yeah, she moved in with me probably when I was about 18, no, 17 or 18. She moved in with me. Yeah, we went through our shit because we was young. We was young, so things happened. We was young, but we stuck it through. And this is what happens. Back in the day, men, when it came to relationships, that's why they told you it was hard work. A relationship is hard work. When you bring in two different people together, you have to work. You have to work to make that shit work. Nothing is easy when it comes to relationships. In this era that we living in now, everybody think that is because we so used to this online and social media life. Everybody thinks shit is just easy. It's never easy. Life ain't easy. Nothing is supposed to be a handout. As a man, we had to go a little extra harder because we men. That's what men do. And especially being a black man, being where we at, it was always harder for us. We never got the easy road. And brothers nowadays, I just see them as being weak, being weak. Like they could talk that good talk. It's easy to talk that good talk, but show and prove it. Who are you as a man? Women, we know women deal with emotions, so it's easy to lead a woman astray, and a woman to be acting up. Men was complaining about that shit back then. It wasn't all fine and dandy. Relationships wasn't just perfect back then. It was always a struggle. That's what we had to go through. Being in this country, you had to go through a struggle. That's just what it was. But I just see brothers and sisters. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that your sisters is correct with what they're doing. The sisters is out of pocket. But the environment that we in right now gives them that right to be acting that way. And as you as a man, you got to stand on your shit. If you see that's what it is, don't mess with it. Take yourself out of that situation. I'm gonna go on mute though for a second.
Yeah. But that's the thing. A lot of guys, they always, have these issues. But like I tell them, you know, don't deal with the women that you complain about. If we had the channels where a lot of guys were building more on talking about, like on Charles' channel, Charles had a panel telling a young 22-year-old to actually list the good that he likes about his girl. Because he ultimately said, listening to the guys in this space, he was technically going to leave his girlfriend that he said and everybody deemed to be a good woman. But because the men in this space have their issues with women and say ultimately they'll leave you in divorce, they'll take your money, they're no good. And the more he kept talking, I was putting it in the chat. I didn't even come up on a panel yet. I told him, I said, everything that you've told this young man, this is what he gathered from what you guys told him, that women are horrible, women are disgusting, and women should not be wed. You should not get married to a woman. So now he's under the issue that even if he goes into another relationship, he's going to have the same problem. So ultimately, what that leads to, This young man being single for the rest of his life, unless he want to, jump the broom to the other side. Ultimately, this is the direction in which he sees, and all the guys on the panel telling him, no, no, that's not what we're saying. That's what he's perceiving by what you're telling him. In this space, that's more or less what I was talking about, the information. You're giving out information, you got to understand. A lot of these young guys are listening, even the older guys. I heard Kuda on his channel one time talking to a guy, and the guy was talking about, why are we talking about game? Why are we talking about dressing? Why are we talking about, certain ways we look? He said, there are older men in this space. Why should we tell older men how to represent themselves a certain way? And like I told him, there are guys that didn't have a father. You might have had a father to teach you these things. You might have had an uncle that kind of showed you the ropes. With these guys in this space, they don't have nobody here. So, Cannon, you just mute your mic.
My bad.
Yeah. But when it comes down to it, you got to understand these younger guys in this space, they're seeking counsel. This is a lot of guys. We talk about people getting therapy. This is a lot of guys' therapy. They come here to, relieve the stress of dealing with certain relationships. They come here to kind of vent, to get a lot of things off their chest. But in the end, if they come here with the intent to learn, and yes, they're hearing all the problems and issues, you got to have the balance in this. Just as we're talking about the bad that the women are doing, we got to also talk about the men that are not doing right, holding them accountable. We got to also talk about the good that women do. We got to also talk about the good that men do. That's when we create the balance so where they can see both sides of the spectrum, to where they can get an understanding. I know it's hard out here. I know it's hard to find a good woman, but the point of it is, it's worth the risk in trying versus compared to don't bother. All women are bad. You know, we don't need to be speaking in absolutes. When it comes to one, all of them are the same. No, just because you got that woman that, kind of didn't work with you in your program, you know, if you don't want to try, so be it. Sit back, you know, and live your life by yourself. But the purpose is, you know, don't stunt no one else's growth on account of, you missed your calling. That's all I'm speaking to.
No, you're absolutely right, bro. You're absolutely right, she. You can't stunt somebody else's growth because your growth is stunted. And that's where that term misery loves company comes from. All these terms have a I know brothers might say, oh, that was a woman talking point or that came from a woman, but all these things have a meaning and they're useful. Misery loves company. And that word that comes with men too. Like if if a dude fucked up in his game, he might want to see you fucked up in his game because he don't got his shit together. Same thing with women. When she ain't doing right, she want the rest of the people around her not to be doing right. And this is why I push knowledge of self. When I say knowledge of self, I'm not just talking about learning yourself. Learn the shit around you. I suck in all type of information. I watch all type of shit. I watch the weirdest I watch everything. I take in all type of information. It could be from white people, it could be from Indian people, it could be from Latin people. I suck in all of that shit. That's when I hear certain talking points. I'm like, man, you crazy as hell. I've been around for a minute. I'm a dude of a certain age. I've been around for a minute. I got a lot of information and a lot of wisdom. A lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom. And from what I study, being a 5%er, that's the first step. That's the first thing we push is knowledge itself. Gain knowledge. Every day you learn something new. Every day you wake up, you learn something new. Go out there and get the information. The information is there. Knowledge is there. Our knowledge is infinite. Knowledge is what makes you godly. And that's what I'm
I
saying,
Boss,
brothers.
that was
With this generation, man, it's just crazy, man. Brothers is getting weaker and chicks is getting wilder. That's the way I see it.
Well, I'm great. Get off the piano. It was a pleasure, Chief, for first time being on your piano. Kane, it's always a pleasure being on piano with you. And I just want to say, brothers, I appreciate y'all wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And y'all have a blessed day. And the end of the day
Definitely.
is let's be the change we have to be wherever we at. When we just touch one person like where we do is not in vain, you know? And I will see my brothers on the YouTube streets. Cause she and Kane, y'all be everywhere. I mean,
Oh
y'all
yeah, oh yeah. Like
we be
I just told
everywhere.
you, I'll be everywhere. I suck in information. Even if I'm there to crack jokes, I'm still sucking in some information. I take the good with the bad. I learn
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
shit, I learn bad
Yeah.
shit. It is what it is, but
Yeah.
it's all information. But peace to you, sister, man. You have
Yeah.
you have a good day, man.
And
Appreciate
Sheen,
you.
I love your channel. Just keep it positive. It's beautiful. It really is, where people could just have real talk, real issue about real people and real situation in our community. And I love it. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
All
man.
right. And
She
y'all
a
have a
good brother,
blessed
man.
day.
That's my brother. That's my
Yeah,
brother right
Sheen
there.
good
She the good
people.
brother, man.
Hmm.
That's my brother right there.
Yeah. And so basically, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to close out too. But like I said, when it comes down to it, you know, uh, hey Kane, mute your mic up real
Yeah.
quick.
All right, I got you.
All right. Yep. And third, we're gonna be over there later, for the record TV, we're gonna go ahead and discuss topics and get everything moving over there later on. But like I said, I want to go ahead and start putting out information to kind of help one another, because ultimately, just as a lot of channels get started information to try to provide value, try to give the information to help people out. That's the biggest thing. We can fuss and fight, but without the money, without the infrastructure of building with each other, like, what are we doing to our community? You know, like you were talking about earlier, Kane, that, going through the communities, you had family, you had friends within that community that looked out for your kids. And nobody wants to look out for each other no more because we've all grown apart and everything is more or less relying on self. But I want to get back to the community structure and building with one another. But Kane, you got anything else to say? I feel like you're ready to close out.
I'm gonna fire up alive today, and I'm gonna break down. I'm gonna break down the 5%, the 10%, and the 85%. It's gonna be me and the GODs, and we're gonna give y'all the foundation of what's really going on with that. Why we are where we at right now with that when it comes to that, because there's a reason why things are the way they are. And I'm gonna fire up a stream with that. I'm gonna bring a couple of gods through, and we're gonna build on that like we always do at the God Talk Show. So come check me out later on, and we're gonna build on it. You got it. Appreciate you for having me up here, bro. You already know.
All right. It's been great building, talking with one another. A lot of information's been spread out, and from what I'm getting from the conversation, it starts with the men. We can complain about the women all day, but if we're calling ourselves leaders of the household, leaders within the community, it starts with us with the example. It starts with the elders bringing these youth up under the same content, on the same structure of building. It starts with us, the men. So we started the foundation here. Men have to be accountable for the household. Men have to be accountable for the community. So when men start complaining about how the women are not holding themselves to a standard, the point of it is we're not dealing with those women. We're dealing with the women that want the man to lead. For all the men that say these women are not coming to the table, there are a lot of women that are coming to the table. The ones that saying that these women are coming with different changes and different that, why are you checking for the women? Why are you dealing with those women? I ultimately go back and always say, if a woman does not want to foot the bill of the infrastructure in which you provided, laid out your life, your resources on the line for her, if she doesn't want it, keep it pushing. Don't modify yourself on trying to get that woman without accepting any of the sacrifices that come with it. You know, if she doesn't know how to do certain things, you're willing to accept that in the name of building or whatever type of community you want. So don't complain when a woman doesn't adhere to your standards because you accepted her the way she was. And if you don't want to accept her, don't deal with her. Roger said it best with the 90-day rule. You know, within 90 days, you would understand if that woman is for you or against you. And with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Like I always say, we here and we gone.